Welcome everyone to the next episode of Las Colinas, episode 11 today, and we will be building a large highway interchange starting off, and this thing is going to be located some ways outside of downtown Las Colinas, so it is definitely a ways away, but I do imagine this will be I guess off to the right there in that direction will be where the city's airport will be located in the future, and probably also harbor, whether it be just for cargo or passengers or whatever. It'll probably be located nearby the airport there. But yeah, so planning for that in the future, I decided to give this area here a larger exit of 2 lanes, because coming in from that direction is from downtown, and so everyone from the city and really most the suburbs, even just most of Las Colinas in general, will be coming from that direction, and they'll be taking this exit to go to the airport or the harbor or wherever they want to go in that area of the city. So, maybe not, thanks to how the game functions and all, the airport probably won't bring a lot of traffic in. I don't know, I've never really been able to manage to get my airports busy realistically, and even though I should need to take some tips from probably City Wall, because shout out to him, because he built a seriously good airport. That thing was impressive. Like, no joke, probably the best airport I've ever seen built in the game. I mean, I know there's FPS by Fluxtrans and Biskugelhausen and Strict Toaster, but that took them 20-something odd episodes. In order to manage to build a nice airport, it's functioning, with good traffic, in only a few episodes is something hard. I imagine something hard to come by. So. Yeah, I don't know how you did it, though. I would like to learn sometimes, because when I do come around to building the airport in the city, it won't be anytime soon, I wouldn't mind some help there. But anyways, I digress. So here, just building most of the ramps and off-ramps and entrances to the interchange. This one here is coming from the highway that's mostly just going to be entirely suburbs off in that direction. But I enjoy building highway interchanges, maybe not in extreme detail, because it can get repetitive and having to deal with how the lanes merge, and that can all be a serious pain. But I'm one of those type that like to actually build their own custom unique interchanges, because I think it's fun. It adds some personality to the city, because they're large structures. I mean, there's no way around it. So I figure it's better to build your own than download one from the workshop. Because while there's certainly some very nice ones on there, most of them just don't look the best. So that's why I tend to build my own interchanges, even though there's plenty of problems accompanied with building your own anyways, such as making the smooth connections between, say, right here, like a 2-lane or two 1-lane roads going into a 2-lane, or vice versa, like right there, the 2-lane highway branching off into just 2 single-lane off-ramps. Trying to make those connections look good, nice and smooth, without any crazy lane jumps is definitely a bit of a pain, which is one of my biggest gripes with this game, is how that works. Because I know when I'm building just standard roads in the middle of the city or wherever, not necessarily highways, but if I want to go from, say, like a avenue it's a 4-lane avenue, 2 on each side, and I want to go to a 6-lane, 3 on each side, you can't really do that because the game just doesn't transition the 3 lanes to the 2 lanes correctly. It just kind of suddenly, it goes from 3 to 2, and the lanes jump to basically you're driving in 1 lane. Next thing you know, you're driving in 2 lanes if it's an actual road. So there's really no way to overcome that in normal roads. Highways, considering even though you're building like a large 6 or 8 or 10 lane highway, both the opposite direction roads are of course separate, so it's much easier to control how the lanes merge compared to actual streets or avenues that are going to be in your city. Which I always imagined, if there's one thing I could improve with this game, is to give each lane their own node, because that would solve so many issues with this and trying to make lanes merge. Because then you could have, say you have a 4-lane one-way road that you want to have 2 lanes on one side branch off, go one direction, 1 lane on the opposite side branch off, go the other direction, and then a lane in the middle continuing going straight. You really can't do that in the current state of the game. I mean, I guess it's possible, but it doesn't look good at all. So even though I do still try, I try and make it work. But really, if you're using more than 2 roads coming off of a single road, it just never ends up looking right, which is unfortunate, because there's so much more more realism you can add to your city if you were capable of doing that easily and make it look good. But it is what it is, I suppose. We make do, and I doubt that's going to be an update in the game anytime soon or ever. Maybe City Skylines 2.0, whenever that's released, though who knows when that will be either. I know most creators probably wouldn't be too excited about a new game coming out anytime soon, considering how much life this game still has. And I don't know how, I'm not an asset creator or a modder or anything, so I don't know the process, but I'm certain that it would be quite difficult in order to reformat or at least even just to redo the assets to make them, in a new game. So that's, I'm definitely not pushing for or looking to expect a new City Skylines game anytime soon. Of course, I just released the Sunset Harbor DLC, which we'll see if I get. I'm really not a big DLC guy. I mean, I have what I consider the essentials, but even like natural disasters and universities, I don't have those DLCs, and I probably will get the university one in a few days, because I know Steam has a sale on City Skylines and their DLC, so I'll probably pick up that one because I do want to build a university near the research park I built several episodes ago. And I've built universities without the university DLC, but there's just not nearly as much traffic and foot traffic that you would want in a university. So I figure the DLC will give me that and add that realism to the game. So that's something I wouldn't mind getting sometime soon, and hopefully, building the university relatively soon as well. But since, I'm not going to be building the airport or really anything around this interchange much more, the only possible thing that I'm considering building in maybe the next episode is some sort of office and hotel park, more or less. Because since the airport will be located off of this interchange, there's going to be need for some sort of, large hotel park, and with some office buildings probably for all the businessmen and women who need to stay a night or so for a conference or whatever it may be, just a layover. But there's always plenty of hotels located in your airports, of course, so I think located by this interchange would be a good spot to plop down a lot of hotels, cheap motels, nice maybe luxury resorts, maybe not resorts necessarily, but I know there's a couple good Hilton and Marriott hotels that I love using, so those would be good to plop down in this area. But yeah, that could definitely be a possibility in the next episode, or at least part of the next episode. But we'll see. But anyway, so here, as you can see, as I was talking, I deleted the one opposite loop on the one side and went with just this one loop, because it was not going to be possible to, of course, have those two loops right next to each other, because the off-ramp from the one to the on-ramp of the other would have been 50 feet or so apart from each other, which is not just a recipe for disaster. At least realistically speaking, you're never going to find that in a highway in a million years, because traffic jams and accidents galore, that's for sure. But yeah, so I ended up deleting the one and going with the other loop on the other side, because I was able to, where the previous loop was located, I was able to make another exit that was capable of, going from the same exit. So whereas with the current loop that I have there, which I end up keeping, I wasn't really able to have an exit go from the one highway to the other and make it look good. So I just decided to give it a loop there, and turned out alright, I'd say. But so here, and also on several occasions, when I'm building interchanges, especially since this is in LA, Southern California city, I'm not from California, but I'm sure a number of you watching are, and you all know how crazy some of those highways can be, and the connections and off-ramps and on-ramps that are just kind of randomly just thrown about in interchanges and off of the highway. So I like going for that feel in the city. I think it's kind of cool to just have random exits coming off of the interchange, or just branching off, winding through. It looks cool. So I did that on a few times there, such as also right here, coming off of the highway and onto the little overpass there. But yeah, that's something I find fairly unique about Southern California highways, because I'm not sure of many other cities that actually have what I'm describing, having exits just branching off seemingly randomly just all over the place. Because I know I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, hence my uncreative name, but yeah, we don't really have anything like that here. So from what I gather and what I at least have experienced, that's pretty unique to California. But anyways, so that was pretty much it on the interchange there, and so I started working on the water treatment plant here, because I wanted to put something here. As you can see, it's a large area. I didn't want to just plop down a ton of trees and bushes and rocks, because considering this is a Southern California city, space is hard to come by. So something as large as this, that's prime real estate for something to be built. So I figured, since it is in the highway, it makes sense that it be city-owned property, and as a result, I plopped down a water treatment plant, which when at least in previous cities, ones I built on my own before this, Las Colinas, I never really tended to detail any sort of sewage or water treatment plants, because there's not a lot of assets that are available for that. There's these circular pools here, which are really nice because they're also animated. But aside from this pack, there's really not much offered on the Steam Workshop. So as a result, I don't really ever see water treatment plants being built, and I tend not to build them myself. But usually and also I know several other YouTubers do this as well, but they place down sewage pumps and water pumps on the outskirts of the city. Something that you can't see unless you zoom out and know what you're looking for, because I do that just because I don't really, like I said, build water treatment plants or any sort of thing, just because they're hard to make look good, since the assets are limited, and just repetitive treatment pools there one after another, which is evidently realistic. I looked at one in Southern California somewhere. It's definitely not copied. I would say loosely inspired, but maybe that's even a bit of a stretch. Really, the only thing that I got from it was this line of pools there with the asphalt, and what I'm doing here is tiny paths, but actually what I intended with this was based off the one I saw on Google Earth in LA was like this, and between all these little treatment pools were really narrow pavement roads. So since the game doesn't really, or at least I don't have any super narrow pavement roads. I don't have any narrow pavement roads. I just went with these curbs here, laid them down flat, and they got the job done. But so, yeah, and gotta place the puddle decals. And oddly enough, for whatever reason, that one I'm trying there would not go down. It just disappeared when I put it underneath the pools there, and so I just had to use the one that I'm currently using there, which is fine, but I'm not really sure why that one did not work. I tried lowering it, I tried raising it, and it just wouldn't show up there, so that was a little odd. But so here I add another whatever it is, treatment pool of some kind. It was in the same pack as the circular ones. This one's not animated, so yeah, the water you have the foamy water, but it's all stagnant, which, yeah, I guess not much can be done about that, but it's still nonetheless a good asset. It's got some good colors to it. But so I'm just adding some pipe networks. I didn't really know what else to put. I didn't really go overboard or really put many pipes in this block. I didn't really see any in the plant I was looking at. I mean, there's certainly some, but I probably could have added more just to take up some space. It probably looked a little better, but I really only kept it to this part here and the one that was up a second ago with that cool, I'm not really sure what it is, but waste pool of some kind. It's a fairly old asset, but it's pretty cool. I like using it in industrial zones also, because it really looks like some nasty toxic liquids are spilling out of the pipes there. So that's pretty cool. But so here behind the offices, I just decided to place some pipes, some trucks, basically just what would be used maybe for some repairs and just, genuine routine maintenance. But yeah, I put some bushes just to liven it up a bit instead of just having all concrete, because that can be repetitive and just not really any fun to detail. But so yeah, I do lay some orange pipes, also the black pipes, just because didn't really know what to put there. I was gonna look for some construction props, but there's really not any good construction props on the workshop. I know there used to be one pack, but it stopped working. I know from me and many people, it may have been working still for others, but it would say it was duplicates, and there was no way to fix that, and the asset creator never responded to anything on the page. But I went back recently to the exact same collection of props, and it turns out he fixed the issue that many people were having. So I reinstalled it and didn't use any here, because they also are kind of more European in appearance. So, not all the props, some of them are fairly universal, but some of them definitely look quite European and I didn't want to use in the city. But so here I'm putting down some vegetation around the pipes. Leaky pipes are going to sprout up some plants and grass and bushes for sure, even out around the nasty looking whatever water that is there. But I mean, yeah, really look at that detail on that asset. Considering how old it is, it's quite impressive. But anyways, I'm getting fairly close to the end of the video. Pretty much all I have left is to place some fences here along the perimeter. I also place some network power lines, which I just found recently, which I really like these new ones I found, because I haven't found any power lines except these that when you have the terminus of the line of power lines, usually it's just dead ends and it is what it is. But real life, the wires are usually rooted in the ground and go underground. So with these power lines that I'm going to lay in a second, they actually do that, which is really cool to see, because you can't lower, at least I haven't been able to lower the power lines into the ground, because since the power line is since it is a network, and the power line pole is, I guess, a building maybe, it screws with the terrain, so you can't do it without lowering the terrain in that area as well, which is unfortunate. But anyways, wrapping up the video, so I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time.